We've got a small group here, but let me ask you, how many of y'all know what the petition killer is? Or you could explain it to someone in, a minute if they asked you.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so we got one. Anyone else confident on it? Okay. Well, this is fun. So, we're going to start with a little bit of information about our state constitution. And let me say here, if you're looking for a lot of pictures and imagery in a PowerPoint, I'm not the guy for you. This is very Joe Friday, just the facts, man. Half the room has no idea what I'm talking about, the other half wonders how I know that. Article 5 of our state constitution says that the legislative power of the people of the state shall be vested in the General Assembly, which shall consist of the Senate and House of Representatives, that the people reserve to themselves the power to propose legislative measures, laws, and amendments to the Constitution, and to enact or reject the same at the polls, independent of the General Assembly. Also reserve the power of their own option to approve or reject at the polls any entire act or any item of an appropriation bill. So this was put in our Constitution a little over 100 years ago, because the people were finding that the state government of Arkansas was not responsive to the people. So they worked to get this in through Amendment 7 to our Constitution and guarantee that the people, if the state government does something they don't like, the people can come in and override them. If they're not acting, then they can move on an issue that's important to them, independently of the state government. And most importantly, the main reason that this was put forward was to provide a check on corruption in our state government, which Lord knows we've always had plenty of in Arkansas. So it's called the initiative and referendum, which, I'm going to use Gail as a visual aid here. Gail's kind of become my roadie. So let me stress, she's doing her campaign independent of what we're doing here. We protect our voices, supports the petition process. So anyone that wants to come and gather signatures at our events, we say, sure, come along, people can sign them out if they want. But, what Gail's doing with, her campaign now is gathering signatures. She has to get enough signatures in enough counties to meet the thresholds. And if she and the rest of our organization are successful, their issue will get on the ballot for voters to be able to decide, yes, we want this, no, we're going to reject it. Believe it or not many states have this to the extent that Arkansas does. It's only about 14 states or so that have it to the extent that Arkansans are able to enjoy. So let's talk about how we would get a measure on the ballot. So let's say we're a concerned group of people here. We have decided we want to beautify our state. We can't get the state legislature to work with us on it. So we're going to take matters into our own hands and circulate petitions. We are launching Petunias for Progress. Going to put petunias on all the state highways. Just as a silly little example. So how do we go about doing it? Well, the state constitution lays out several ways of doing that, or the requirements to do that, I should say, excuse me. Says the first power reserved by the people is the initiative. 8% of the legal voters may propose any law, and 10% may propose a constitutional amendment by initiative petition. The way they figure out those percentages is based on the last governor's election. And upon all initiative or referendum petitions provided for in any of the sections of this article, shall be necessary to file from at least 15 of the counties of the state. Petitions bearing a signature, not less than one-half of the designated percentage of the electors of such a county. So we've got to get 8 to 10% of the people that voted in the last governor's election. And most importantly, we have to do this out of 15 counties, so that is considered representative. So let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people. Media does not count, so you're off the hook, don't worry. You have to be non-biased, I'm sure. But so we got 8 people. We can work on Petunias for Progress here. So between 8 of us, we can probably do 15 counties, right? So I think, Judy can set up at a Walmart in maybe Paragould. Ksenia, we're going to send you down to Forest City. And, Gail, we're going to send you. Gail, you're headed to Eureka Springs. We're giving you a vacation. So we can get this up. We can get this together here, right? It's not too hard. 15 counties. We don't have a lot of money. Don't have a lot of people, but we can do it. We're going to have to work. But we've also got a reasonable time to do it. Initiative petitions for statewide measures shall be filed with the Secretary of State not less than 4 months before the election at which they are to be voted upon. So if we want this on the ballot in 2022, we're trying to get petunias on the highway to beautify, just as an example. If we want to get this done by 2022 for the November ballot of that year, we get started beginning of 2021. We have till July of the next year to gather up enough signatures. We could probably do that. 15 counties, a year up to a year and a half to go around gathering them. And then, if the Secretary of State, and there's also provisions for local officials concerned, but if the Secretary of State, as the case may be, shall decide any petition to be insufficient, he or she shall, without delay, notify the sponsors of such petition and permit at least 30 days from the date of such notification in the instance of statewide petition. So if you go in, now there is a requirement, this was passed in 2014, you have to get at least 2/3 of the way there. I might have enough, but you have 75% of what you need. You can go back out for 30 days and get more signatures. So we have 15 counties, July, and if we get close, but not, all sounds pretty reasonable for a group of folks that don't have a professional organization and who don't have a lot of money, right? So far, so good. So, why should people care about this? I mean, obviously, it gives us the right to petition our fellow Arkansans, get the issues we care about on the ballot. But let's say you're not wanting to circulate petitions, you don't have an issue you care about. Well, it still provides an important check on state government. Again, as I said at the beginning, if they're not doing something, we can make it happen. If they're doing too much, we can rein them in. And if they're down there in Little Rock having a big old party, we can bring the party to a close. So a check on inaction, overreach, and corruption. And most importantly, this is the very spirit of what democracy is supposed to be. It makes ordinary Arkansans the ultimate power in our state, rather than politicians or the special interests. And that's why this was put in place over 100 years ago. Because state government wasn't working for the people. It was working for this narrow clique of interest in Little Rock. And so this was provided as a kind of check on all that, to open state government up to all of us. And that brings us to the issue we're facing today, the petition bill. Now, the official name of this is the Arkansas Initiative Process and Legislative Referral Requirements Amendment. If someone told you about this, Arkansas Initiative Process Legislative Referral Requirements Amendment, would you have any idea what they were talking about?
I wouldn't know because I'm looking for it.
Exactly. So if it just came out of the blue, someone's just, oh. So much less if you see it on your ballot. So this does several things. It's going to shorten the amount of time for petitions to be gathered from 4 months before the election to January 15th of the election year. So Petitions for Progress loses half a year. So we're going to have to hustle. Then on top of that, it increases the number of counties necessary to canvass from 15 up to 45. Y'all think we can do 45 counties? Exactly. So now I was not a math major for a reason, but 8 people trying to do 45 counties, that sounds like we're going to get worn out here. And then it eliminates the 30 days our Constitution allows petitioners to gather more signatures if they have at least 75% of the valid signatures. So they've already increased it in 2014 to 75%. That wasn't originally there. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gail, because I know you know this issue. But if, before 2014, there was no requirement.
Before 2014, you automatically got 30 extra. If you had the raw numbers, if you had to have 90,000 valid registered voter signatures signatures at turn-in. Whether they were valid or not, if you had 90,000, you automatically got the extra 30 days. So that while they start validating, you got time to get some more just in case they can throw a bunch out. You can replace it. In 2014, after we made valid at 12 and narrowly got defeated, they immediately turned around and put that on valid in 14 and made this more difficult for us. So, and then we got caught up in the switchover between the first law and the second law and got thrown off the ballot because of a lot of those issues. So, yeah, it's a concerted effort on the part of the legislators to stop the people of this state. Not, irregardless of what your issue is. It's a concerted effort to stop the people of this state from doing this anymore.
And these changes will make it almost impossible for anyone who doesn't have a lot of money or a professional organization to get the issues that they care about on the ballot. It effectively shuts us out of the initiative process. So Petition for Progress, unless we've got a super PAC, a millionaire, something like that backing us, we're not beautifying our house. Well, I can boil it down to this: special interest influence. What it boiled down to was that after the last few election cycles, there were a number of interest groups that were not happy with things that were being approved on the ballot, some of them by as much as 60% of the vote, if not more. Now, the Chamber of Commerce was the driving force behind this amendment. They went to the state legislature and they got a state senator and a state representative in each house, said, we have this amendment that we want you to pass. These people, this is not, by the way, a secret. These people bragged about this. They said they came to us and said, we have this amendment for you to sponsor. They were quoted saying that in the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, April 29th of 2019. You can go and look that up. Just blatantly talking about how these special interest groups, with a great deal of money for lobbyists, great deal of money to put in their campaign coffers, are influencing our state government. Now, when was the last time one of y'all pulled a state legislator aside and said, hey, I've got this written up, go and amend our state constitution? Well, again, all this happening in the light of day, and as much as we had the light of day in Little Rock. And the State Chamber of Commerce wants it because they don't want the interest of the people to conflict with their business interests. A lot of other special interest groups like that with them. The state legislators that are sponsoring it will have a powerful check on any corruption, any misbehavior by them that's not already covered in state law, removed. Ethics reform in Arkansas, in a significant way, has only happened 3 times in the last 40 years. The first time was in the 1970s. It barely passed the state Senate by 1 vote. The other 2 times the significant ethics reform was passed were in the 1980s, and here in 2014, I believe it was. Both times at the ballot. And of course, they keep coming up with new ways to game the system, so you have to keep progressively building on that. But if this is taken away, there goes that check. And we've already seen how many state representatives and senators going to jail in the last year or 2 alone. So, we're trying to organize to stop this.
David,
Yes.
you quoted the Arkansas Democrat as publishing this editorial on the 29th of April. When was this legislation passed under this referral to the general?
It was passed at the tail end of the last legislative session, which would not have been long before that article. You know, our state legislature is in town for maybe 5 months, if we're lucky or unlucky, depending on your view. But at the tail end of the 2019 session, they slipped this in at the last moment and pushed it through very quickly. So since then, you know, it's just been, you know, it got some initial attention, but after that, you know, the cycle being what it is, it's kind of just gone under the radar, which is kind of what they want. Does that answer the question? So, but we're trying to stop it, and we've been organizing since last year, quietly at first, just kind of building our organization. Now we're coming out in a bigger way. So, here's the first thing we can do. First, you got to tell everyone you know. That's the first thing. So, make sure, your friends know, your family know, put it out on Facebook, all that stuff. And here's the great thing about this issue. You know that crazy uncle we all have at Thanksgiving that we don't want to talk politics with? What we're finding with this is there's a lot of people of totally different political perspectives who wouldn't normally be able to get in a room together. But when they hear about this, they all say, no, this is wrong. We can't have this. So that crazy uncle, you can now have a conversation with. And you can freak the rest of your family out when you do it. It'll be great. But, get them on the same page with you. Write a letter to the editor. People still read newspapers. And if they read the newspaper, they're more likely to vote. So it's important to crank those letters out. I mean, Yesenia, I know you've written some letters to the editor before, haven't you?
I haven't.
You haven't? Okay. So, my mistake, but, you can still write a letter.
Renee does quite a bit.
Renee, yes. Renee fires them off like out of a cannon. But, get a letter to the editor, inform people of this. And we have our organization on social media. We have, especially on Facebook. So, go like and follow us on there. Share the information we have on there. We have some of it in little simplified memes. So you can show people picture, something to convey and drive this home, a simple message to get it into people's heads how important this is. We do have Twitter. I hate it, but we have it. And we're asking people to attend or help organize local protests and local events. And we're going to have these around the state, as many as possible. We're trying to do these presentations all over Arkansas. This is our third one. This is the first one where we got press attention, so we're steadily picking up. But we're also going to be doing a big rally in Little Rock, March 21st. That's on the steps of the Capitol. And we'll be having other local protests, definitely one here in Jonesboro, and probably several others across the state. And we ask all of y'all to attend. Come out and make your voices heard. Because this really is our voice that they're trying to take from us. And the answer to that is to speak up louder. And most importantly, to vote no. This is probably going to be issue 3. It's not certified as such yet, so I can't say that officially. They won't certify it until July, because I've checked with the Secretary of State's office. But once it's on the ballot, just make sure that everyone you know knows to go in there and vote no. Whatever their political beliefs, whatever their backgrounds, however frequently they vote, bring it home to them that this is important. Because they really are trying to silence us all and shut us out of our government. So, okay.
What time is that, March 21st?
That's going to be at noon at the state capitol. All right. Do we have any questions? And I don't mind going over things for anyone that missed.
The Chamber of Commerce, what rationale they utilized or they use even now to say we went for this?
Well, keep in mind the Chamber of Commerce has been officially quiet on this. The reason we know that they were involved is because the state legislators spoke up on it. They did speak for the amendment, saying that certain things that were unrepresentative of how the people of Arkansas felt were making on the ballot. What they mean by that is we're a conservative state that voted for a minimum wage increase. Now, whether you're for or against the minimum wage, or whether you're for or against any issue going on the ballot, our position here is that we all have the right to sort this out amongst ourselves, to vote on it, to have a voice, to be able to cast our vote, yay or nay. But the Chamber of Commerce is arguing that those issues are
Do they
unrepresentative.
have an official statement about that or no?
They testified in the legislature. I don't know if you would call that an official statement.
all I do is.
But yeah, basically they're saying just what I'm saying here, that these issues are unrepresentative of the people and of the state of Arkansas. That they're saying that people don't know what they're voting on, that they don't understand the implications of these issues. So there have to be restrictions. So.
Not bright enough to understand.
Exactly. And I will say, there are occasionally issues that are worded very confusingly on the ballot. That doesn't mean you don't.
Okay, I'm guilty of this up until it happened, and I realized it happened. When a group is trying to put something on the ballot, we had to submit it to Leslie Rutledge and get it approved, and she would kick it back because of the ballot title, didn't adequately describe what was in the amendment, and she'd throw it back, we'd have to do it again, back and forth, back and forth. When the legislature puts something on there, it's just on there. And in 2014, what their petition-related amendment said in the ballot title was, at the beginning of it, it said, to allow 30 extra days for petition campaigns to collect signatures, and Arkansas voters said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And the second half of it said, only if 75% of their signatures are valid. And so, to me, legislatively presented amendments are frequently misleading in the title. They make you think you're voting one way, but if you actually take the time to read through the entire ballot title, you figure out, oh wait, that's not what this is doing at all. So yeah, that was one of the things they did, was the trickery in the ballot title.
Right.
Is making it sound one way, and people get tired of reading after a minute. Because Arkansas voters, as far as I'm concerned, are notorious for not doing any research on what they're voting for until they step in the booth and start reading the
Now,
title.
I want to stay on this point that Todd's question brought up, because of the arguments from the proponents of this. So that's the argument of the Chamber of Commerce. What we've also heard is that, this is making it very easy for outside groups to come in because they only have 15 counties to gather in. Well, okay, if you want to, restrict big organizations coming in from outside, I'm not unamenable to that, providing that you don't shut off the voices of ordinary Arkansans living here in the state in the process. There's a right way and a wrong way to do this. This is the wrong way. We've heard, 15 counties makes it unrepresentative, and this is usually from people on one side of the fence who think you could get it in just counties of a certain political persuasion, of which there are not 15 in this state. But again, what they're ultimately going to end up doing is shooting themselves in the foot if they end up voting for this. And again, people on all sides of the spectrum are coming together on this. Jerry Cox with the
Family Council.
Yes, thank you. Family Council here in Arkansas. Very conservative guy, very conservative group. I never thought Jerry Cox and I would have anything to agree on. We agree on this. There was a conservative state legislator, Mark Meadows from Maumelle, who said they are overreaching, and the people, I predict, will stand up. Well, that's what we're here to do. We're here to stand up. So that kind of summarizes the points from the other side. We've also had some things that are outright misleading. The state senator that sponsored this said, we're just making this a clarified process, because he said he actually told people that the 30 days to gather extra signatures wasn't in the state constitution, but of course it is. So, just to go back to your main question about what's the other side saying, there's a list of stuff.
Anybody who is defending it, whatever they're doing, and like any legislature, group, or people specifically standing for it?
You're asking, are there any organizations standing for it?
Yeah.
The only people that I've seen officially standing for it are the sponsors of the bill. And I assume the Chamber of Commerce, maybe the Farm Bureau, they'll probably start running ads at some point. or putting it out in newsletters, something along those lines. So far, they have not done anything officially besides speak for the bill. So, we'll see what this looks like as we get closer. But, my theory on this is if they see enough people standing up before then, some of them will think twice and maybe not back off entirely, but maybe mute their support a little bit. So, not all of them, but some of them possibly. Anything else anyone wants to add or ask or anything?
One more question.
Sure.
Where are you getting any support from any legislature, people, and what are their consensus and what are they saying?
Oh, you're asking if we have any elected officials
Yes.
supporting? Okay. There have been a number of elected officials who've kind of reached out, and candidates for office interested in this. Exhibit A, candidate for state representative. Most have been on the Democratic side so far. Now, let me be clear. This had some bipartisan support and some bipartisan opposition. So it wasn't totally clean cut. But we do have some people, who have expressed interest, and we have some organizations around the state that are expressing interest in helping us fight this. And what we're really trying to do is build a coalition. And, some of it is, we're getting support from people who work for marijuana reform. We've been getting support from people who've worked on ethics initiatives in the past. And we're even finding support from more conservative groups, like the folks who do term limits, the family council, so on and so forth. So we're trying to build, lest I be remiss, the Libertarian Party, of course, is very much against this. So we're trying to build this cross-partisan, cross-ideological coalition. I'm sorry? Exactly. And, who knows? Maybe this will give us a chance to break up a little bit of that partisan poison that we've had in our politics these last many years. So, I don't know, I wouldn't be too ambitious about it, but it would be nice if we could for a little bit. See anyone else? Okay. So,
Can we put pressure on as far as can we call, can I call my state representative and express my displeasure that, I want to find out how my legislator,
you can call and ask them.
how they
But
voted, and let them know that I'm not happy they voted that way.
You can ask them how they voted. I would like to say that it would be so easy as to call all of them up and say we're against this, but the thing is, it's a done deal. It's on the ballot. So really, the people you got to pressure is everyone you meet. Just say, look, we've got to be against this. It's unfortunate, but they slipped it through so quickly and so quietly there at the tail end of the session that they made sure people couldn't get after them and stop this before it got there.
Well, I think it would be nice at a candidates forum to needle them.
That's
Yeah.
not a bad idea.
Get it on the issue.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, that they should be broad, everybody will be campaigning, that they should answer this specific.
If for no other reason, maybe not even necessarily to pin them down or to get them to show favor or against it, but to let everybody else at that forum know about it.
Yeah.
Use it as an educational
Yeah, that's the best way
format.
to do it.
And what I would encourage everyone to do, not just ask how they voted for it in the legislature, because they'll use this little slippery thing, we want to give the people a chance to speak on it. Ask them how they're going to vote on it themselves when it comes time for them to mark their ballots.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
that
that's
would be
very
the way to
simple.
go. And, like I said, we're going to be holding a lot of other events. If you made sure to sign, the form so I keep everybody in the loop on this kind of stuff. But we're talking protests, rallies. I'm up for speaking. If anyone has a group they want to invite me to, if I can work it on my schedule, I'm living out of my day planner this year, but if I can make it happen, I'll come and I'll talk. So, and I can do a much shorter version than this if need be. Okay. Thank you all for coming. I'm still, up for any questions, comments, anything else anyone wants to add.
Did you say there was already a planned protest here in Jonesboro in March?
In my head. No, the one in March is down in Little Rock. The one in Jonesboro is in my head right now. We're going to get that later in the year.
Okay.
But
Day in March, was it?
that's March 21st. So,
Gotcha.
You have folks around the state who are participating and protect their voices?
yes. One of the people helping me with it is one of my oldest and dearest friends, Caleb Baumgartner. He's an attorney down in El Dorado, so we have the southern part of the state. We have Paul Spencer, who ran for Congress at one point. He was the person behind Rate No Populist, which was one of the ethics reforms initiatives a few years back. So he's helping us in central Arkansas. And we have a host of other people who are maybe not directly affiliated with us, but for whatever reasons they're interested in working with this, and so we're partnering up as a coalition. And we're kind of building this across the state. We're, again, we're doing events around the state, and as we're doing that, we're steadily getting more and more of the pieces of the puzzle in place.
Well, this was something that, I was, as a new candidate,
Mhm.
I was looking for things things on my platform, and that I had that I have on my platform is the minimum, housing standard. And
Mhm.
I thought, okay, how can, that bill was presented by Gasaway and,
Mhm.
Paragould, and I thought, well, how can we get around this since it didn't happen, Bill? And I thought, oh, we'll do an initiative. And then I saw that, and I was like, wait, okay, let me get this on the ballot for November because they're trying to change it to 45. And then my party said, that's going to cost you a lot, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, so I was very aware of this whole initiative thing and thought how important that was. They're going to change it so that you've got to have 3 times the amount of counties involved. And I thought that was my way around the legislature of getting that bill passed.
Well, and if we beat this, that may still be, and that's a great example. And whether you're for or against that, it still shows that there's so many things that this impacts. It's not just a ballot access issue or a voting rights issue, though those are important things in and of themselves. It's a housing issue, or an economic issue, or a criminal justice issue, or an ethics issue, or any number of other things that you might be concerned about that need to go on the ballot before the people because it's not getting its proper time in Little Rock. So this is, no joke, probably the most important statewide issue that we face in 2020. And a lot of people don't even know it's there yet. And that's what we're trying to fix. So, it's okay.
It is listed on the Secretary of State's website under initiatives and referenda, and you can click on it and read it, can't you?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Again, they don't have it certified as what the issue is number
Right,
is.
it's got the title,
And that's
Yeah.
on there too.
The long ad.
Ballot video.
Yeah. So we actually got some of that information on there.
Okay.
So, but okay. So again, thank you all for coming out. Please make sure you signed in so we can get your information, invite you to other things. And again, get involved with us on Facebook and let everyone you know